Imagine if you could make your baby or future baby healthy and free of disease. Would you do it? My name is Annabelle, and I am interested in this topic after doing some research on some new innovations in health and wellness. I am interested in this because I am pursuing a career in the medical field. So, when I learned about gene editing, it really caught my attention. I spent a lot of time researching and reading to get the most accurate information about gene editing and its advances. For those who aren't aware of what gene editing is, it is a technique that can target multiple diseases. Thanks to the science of gene editing, many future lives will be saved and changed for the better. The conditions that we once thought were uncurable are now curable. Today I will be informing you on some of the most innovative new research in gene editing. In recent discussions about gene editing, a controversial issue has been whether or not it's ethical. On one hand, some argue that gene editing can prevent diseases. On the other hand, others argue that it can be misused. Gene editing would not only save lives, but it would also develop into something better. Gene editing treatments are currently being developed for several rare and inherited conditions. One of the most important milestones came when the US Food and Drug Administration approved of the first gene editing therapy to be sold on the market. In the article, the next era of gene editing will be disease agnostic, written by Emily Mullen, published by Wired in September 15, 2025. It explains how one gene editing treatment called Cascovy is approved and available commercially to treat sickle cell disease and a related blood disorder. For patients suffering from these painful and life threatening diseases, Cascovy is life changing and gives them the ability to live and a long life. Many of these illnesses are originally thought to be fatal. An example of gene editing being used to its full advantage was when a baby boy was born with an often fatal genetic disease that causes ammonia to build up in his blood. This condition is deadly. However, scientists and doctors work together to create a customized gene editing therapy for him. This treatment ended up saving his life. This demonstrates how gene editing is not limited to one disease or one part of the body. It can also target specific mutations as shown. While gene editing can save lives, there are some that may say that research reveals it also carries hidden risks that could cause serious harm. The Integrated DNA Technologies published an article called CRISP 9, 10 Pros and 7 Cons, written by Jeff Smirk, tells us that despite its precision, CRISP is not foolproof. Off-target effects can occur, leading to unintentional genetic changes that may have unpredictable consequences. What this means is that making a mistake would cause more harm than good. Although that may be true, that is not always the case. It will be very unlikely for a mistake to be made, especially because people doing the genetic changes have been practicing their practice for a while now. Gene editing can be used much more than just for the diseases. In the speech titled CRISP Next Advantage is Bigger Than You Think, given by Jennifer Dodan on September 27, 2023, Jennifer explains to us how Gene editing is amazing because it allows us to precisely edit the DNA in living organisms, including people and in plants. What this means is that it can be used to strengthen crops, protect our food, and even help combat environmental changes such as climate change by engineering the plants. In other words, gene editing is not just a medical tool, but it's a transformative technology that can help shape our daily lives and even improve them. To summarize what has been said about gene editing, is that it is already being used in clinical trials to treat diseases like sickle cell anemia. I talked about the life changing abilities of gene editing, also getting into what some may be afraid of, and that is gene editing is causing more harm than good. Gene editing represents one of the most groundbreaking medical advances, which is life saving, and these are only used if it's needed. I started off by asking you if you would imagine if you could prevent diseases for your baby or future baby, but that is no longer if you could, but will you choose to? That is because gene editing is making it possible to prevent diseases and save future lives.